This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and I want to break down all of the latest news going around the National Football League right now as we near that free agency period, because legal tampering time is going to start on Monday. And I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of news, rumors floating around, a lot of NFL things that affect the Seattle Seahawks. So we're going to dive into all of that on today's show. I'm at the house. I'm bringing you extra content on my day off, so make sure that you come on in and hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'll tell you right now, we're going to have a ton of fun covering all of the free agency news with the Seattle Seahawks. You don't want to miss out on any of that. The best way to not miss out on any of that is by subscribing to what we're doing here on the show. All right, the first thing that I really want to dive into is the latest Kenneth Walker rumors and news. We all know that Kenneth Walker is going to be a free agent. There was a report yesterday from Tony Pauline that essentially said Kenneth Walker, he's going to be making somewhere between $12 and $14 million next year. Now, it just depends on necessarily not which team will pay for it, but how much is that number going to finally be? Now, for those of you who don't know, there's some big rumors going on right now with Ricky Scoops. He is saying that the expectation is the Kansas City Chiefs are going to end up being the top suitors for Kenneth Walker, and that his price tag is just going to be too much for the Seahawks to be able to match. I've been saying this for quite some time now, but of course, we're going to keep you updated with everything that's going on with Kenneth Walker. It just feels like at this point, you're going to have to go after someone else in free agency if you're the Seattle Seahawks. John Schneider has been pretty open, pretty honest about what he likes to do as a general manager. Essentially, hey, I am going to make sure that I set a price and a number that I'm comfortable paying a certain player. And if they think they can get beyond that and they do end up getting beyond that from another team, well, more power to them. I'm going to let them go wherever they want to go. And I hope the best for them. That's kind of what it feels like right now with Kenneth Walker. I think it's pretty clear and it's pretty obvious that he is going to be, well, slightly overpaid. And that's not really an attack on him. Go get your money, man. You're worth whatever someone is willing to pay you. But right now, I don't think that Kenneth Walker, if you look at his career as a running back, I don't think that he's a top 5 running back. If he's going to get paid somewhere between $12 to $16 million, that's at minimum top 5 running back in the National Football League. Simply not there. I don't even know if I love paying him top 10 money in the National Football League when it comes to that running back position, but I do kind of get, hey, he had a good end of the year. Maybe you have to pay a little bit more because of that. Seahawks aren't going to be willing to do that. Next, we're going to talk about 2 big trade rumors that I find fascinating, but before I do need to let you guys know about our sweet merch. My guy Jerry Brooks, he went out, he got the first Seahawks Today t-shirt. If you want to go grab one of those, you can grab that as well. And we still are selling our St. Patrick's Day merch. We've got the Drinking Team t-shirt. We've got it in green and in navy, as well as our Chat Sports Beers hat. You can still get those in time for St. Patrick's Day, but you do have to hit the express shipping option. Now, cool thing about that, if you hit that express, it is going to be $5. What you do need to know about the express shipping, and I want to make sure that this is clear, it has to be the Drinking Team merch or the Beers hat, and I guess you could say it could be the Drinking Team shirt and a Beers hat. You cannot throw the Seahawks Today merch on there or any of the mob mentality. It will not work with the express shipping. If you want it to be there, you want the Drinking Team, you want the Beers hat, you want it there by St. Patrick's Day, you hit that express shipping. Got an ability to do that. The link for all of those are going to be in the comment section and description of today's video, so don't miss out on any of that. All right, now to the trade rumors, which I find fascinating. There was a big trade yesterday for wide receiver DJ Moore. Now, he ended up going to the Buffalo Bills. It was a pretty big trade, ended up being second-round pick and then some other things going on in there. And I remember when the trade went down, I went, wow, okay, big trade in the National Football League. What I did not expect is to find out that the Seahawks were actually involved in that trade. There was a conversation where the Seahawks were potentially interested in the skill set of one DJ Moore. Now, what does that tell me? If the Seahawks were actually really interested in DJ Moore and were really deep in these conversations, okay, that seems to be a pivot that they were going to take instead of going after Rashid Shaheed. It feels to me when I start hearing NFL insiders, NFL experts come out and report that the Seahawks were in on DJ Moore, that means that not only do they not believe that they're going to be able to get a deal done with Rashid Shaheed, they have already moved on. Remember, John Schneider made it pretty clear when he was on with Seattle Sports, where he says, hey, I don't know why it was big news the other day that Rashid Shaheed was going to test free agency. I've kind of known that since Monday. So that tells me that Seattle and Shaheed and his representatives, they had a conversation or multiple conversations in the build-up to this last week and essentially got to a spot where they're like, we're not going to get a deal done. And that conversation wasn't like basically finalized or, hey, we're not going to get a deal done. That wasn't realized until probably like on Monday, maybe Tuesday. So by the time that we all knew about it, Seattle was already pivoting. And DJ Moore would have been a fascinating pivot. But what I see when I look at DJ Moore, first of all, I think in that Chicago Bears offense, because of the different weapons that they had, I don't think he was fully utilized. I don't necessarily know that he would be fully utilized in Seattle either because of the type of offense that Seattle wants to run. It's going to be very similar to what Ben Johnson was running. But what I will say is that Seattle being interested in Moore means that Seattle is going to be at least what it feels like. It feels like Seattle is going to be a player in this wide receiver market. Now, I kind of assumed that if Seattle was going to be a player for a wide receiver, it could potentially have been at pick number 32 in this year's draft because a couple of mock draft experts have been saying, hey, Casey Concepcion is a guy to watch. So that's kind of where I thought Seattle would end up going. Now, after the DJ Moore rumors have kind of come out and saying, hey, Seattle, they were very interested in that trade, there's more rumors about the pivot that Seattle is making. So because DJ Moore got traded, now Seattle has to look at someone else, and all of a sudden those weird Brian Thomas Jr. rumors are starting to feel more and more factual, right? Or at least like there is an interest there from the Seahawks. Now, what I will say is this. Last year, Brian Thomas Jr., not a fantastic year, but he did have more yards than DJ Moore. His average was higher. Now, he didn't get in the end zone nearly as much. Receptions are about the same. But Brian Thomas Jr., 48 receptions, 707 yards, 2 touchdowns, 14.7 average. Now, he's a fascinating case study because he would be the opposite style of JSN, right? JSN, he is an extremely gifted route runner. There's a lot of speed there. Not that Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't have the same amount of speed as JSN, but Brian Thomas Jr. would be a taller wide receiver that the Seahawks could use, especially down in the red zone, which is a wide receiver body type and archetype that they are looking for, right? It has been very clear in Seattle that a lot of the receivers so far, even the ones that have done really well, they are on the smaller end of the spectrum. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Seattle's had a lot of success with wide receivers that are smaller. Jermaine Kearse was fantastic. Doug Baldwin, obviously fantastic. Tyler Lockett, fantastic, right? And A.J. Barner and Elijah Arroyo can kind of fit more of that big wide receiver, big tight end role in the low red zone. But Brian Thomas Jr., like this is a fascinating decision. And he's kind of seen some of his role go to the wayside a little bit in Jacksonville. Obviously, they have Myers over there. Travis Hunter sounds like he's going to be playing a lot more wide receiver. So maybe they would be open to trading him. But I would say this. I talked to our Chat Sports Jaguars host, Colin Brown, and he said that if they're going to trade him, you have to give him an offer that's too good to refuse. And I don't know that the Seahawks are necessarily in a spot where they have to give that type of offer. Like, you just won the Super Bowl. You don't need a wide receiver that bad. Torrey Horton could easily come in and fill in that Rashid Shaheed role, or maybe you go and target someone else in free agency at that wide receiver position, or maybe you give, you re-sign a guy like Jake Bobo, you give him more of an opportunity, more of a run. I know there's a lot of Seahawks fans mad at me right now. Juwan Jennings could be someone that fits that role. So there are other options. I don't know that trading for a wide receiver is necessarily the best move, but remember, Schneider, he likes to make a big move at some point this week. It's happened the last couple of years, so don't be shocked if there's something going on there. Let me know down below in the comment section how you are feeling. What is your one-word reaction to the latest NFL free agency news? So this whole week has gone by. What's your one-word reaction to any of it? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'll tell you right now, my one-word reaction, wow. It's been a crazy week, to say the least. It's been a very, very, very crazy week. A little disappointed that the Seahawks haven't done anything yet, but I'll tell you right now, wow, because at any moment, Schneider can go in and make one of those big moves. The last piece of news that I want to talk about is with the LA Rams. Cam Curl, he just signed a 3-year, $36 million extension. He is going to stay with the Rams, right? There's his new deal. And the Rams have now made two big moves. They re-signed Curl, and they also made a big trade to go get Trent McDuffie. Now, I believe the Trent McDuffie trade could potentially spur the Seahawks, and that could be why the Seahawks are really making some big headway right now with these trade rumors, and why the Seahawks are involved in a lot of these trade rumors, because maybe they are going to go make a big move or a big pull there. But when we look at Cam Curl and Coby Bryant were basically the top two safeties in this free agent class. And they were kind of expected to make about the same amount of money. So Cam Curl getting 3 years for 36, that's essentially what, $12 million a year. When I look at Coby Bryant, is that a number that we are comfortable with bringing him back at? And I have been very vocal in my support of a player like Ty Okada. I think he is unbelievably talented, and I think that he's clearly shown that he can fill that void if necessary. Now, I also have to mention, Mike Macdonald thinks the world of Coby Bryant. He values his athleticism, his ability to go after the football. He thinks he's very talented. He loves the way he fits into this team. So is there an opportunity for the Seahawks to bring Coby Bryant back, especially if it's at that $12 million marker, right around there? Obviously, Seattle would probably try and pay him a little bit more, I would assume, just because Cam Curl got his deal done. Usually the next guy makes a little bit more money. So I will say this, I find the entire situation and the entire story fascinating right now. I think it could go a multitude of different ways for the Seahawks. But I will say this, I do think that Cam Curl getting that amount of money makes it more likely that Coby Bryant could potentially return. Last little piece, Maxx Crosby, Seahawks definitely involved in those trade rumors. Definitely still feels like the Raiders want a lot more than people realize. Now, they do want this deal to get done. If there is a team that's going to be able to do it, in my personal opinion, it would be the Seahawks because, well, Maxx has a very big contract. Seattle would be able to shoulder that contract, and then they'd be able to rework a new deal, which Maxx very much wants. So that is the NFL news that is impacting the Seattle Seahawks, or could potentially impact the Seattle Seahawks as well. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone who's been rocking with us. It's only going to get more crazy. It's only going to get more hectic. I promise that I'm going to have you covered as best that I can. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and I cannot wait to see you next time.